a ir traduciendo también, así que no se muevan. Mientras tanto, queríamos hablar con Ross Gerber, después de haber conocido a lo largo de la última semana una noticia importante. Ross Gerber, analista habitual de esta casa, busca un puesto en la junta directiva de Tesla. Vamos a hablar de sus intenciones en la compañía. Ross, thank you so much for having us a few minutes in Negocios, as always.
Thanks for having me.
Ross, last week you notified your intention to seek a board seat in Tesla. Explain to us this process. What can you tell us for now?
Well, the process is a pretty long and difficult one. Really, my main goal is I'm a friendly activist trying to see Tesla improve its operations in three main areas. One is advertising and public relations. Every day isn't a bad day in the media for Tesla, and they need to do something about it, whether it's car crashes being reported or this or that. The constant no comments is just bad for Tesla's brand. And number two, the company needs to focus on customer service. It's grown so big, so fast, and so many customers are not having good experiences dealing with service, and they need to really focus on that, and otherwise it's really going to hurt the brand long term. And then, of course, thirdly, there's a lot of issues within Tesla that I want to try to solve, and one of them is succession planning. And currently there's basically nobody to run Tesla in Elon's absence, and that's really a problem for major companies. So I'm really pushing for those three things, and I'm trying to do it in a friendly manner so that hopefully the company will adopt these proposals either way, whether I'm on the board or not.
Ross, you've been outspoken in your belief that Elon's massive sales of Tesla stock to fund his Twitter purchase and poor communications, especially in media, as you said, have hurt the car maker. What would you advise to Elon?
Well, I think the most important thing is that he does need somebody with my skill set to really help with the messaging and the service of Tesla. And, the bottom line is he's stretched thin and he's working at Twitter for the majority of his time, and Tesla doesn't have the leadership or the ability to make decisions without him. So I think the company is weaker because of the lack of management depth that Tesla has compared to a company like, let's say, Apple, which Tesla's trying to emulate and getting to that, multi-trillion-dollar size. So for a company like Tesla to get there, they need to have a much deeper management bench and a much more inclusive, relationship between Elon and the people who will ultimately end up running Tesla. People don't live forever, and Tesla's got to think about what would life be like without Elon and how would it survive. And so I think that's a reality that the board, which really also doesn't really want to face this reality. But, I've been saying it's time for Tesla to grow up, but they don't seem to have much desire to. So, I think my goal is to bring forward these issues to help the company and help management realize what it needs to do.
And Tesla's share in 2022 plummeted. Which would be your intentions in this subject for the company?
Well, I think that's part of the issue. The stock was hammered because of insider sales from Elon, and there was, there's also this massive pay package that Elon has that's vested and also creates a ton of dilution. And so protection for shareholders is part of it. And now with the company trading around $200 a share, it seems to be fully valued based off current year's estimates that have been lowered substantially because the company was forced to lower the price of the car and therefore took away its profit margins on the short term. So, Tesla's got a lot of challenges despite their success, and I think that for them to go next level, they're going to need to address all these different challenges.
What, according to your vision, what rivals does Tesla have right now? Is there a fierce competition in the market for the company?
Well, it's coming. For many years, the competition was way behind and I wasn't really concerned about it. But now I'm starting to see more electric vehicles in my city, in Santa Monica, than I've ever seen, and they're non-Teslas. I've seen more Teslas than ever too. But I've seen a lot of very cool vehicles being made by a lot of great companies. And I think these companies also have a much deeper experience servicing customers. And now with the supercharger system opening up in the United States, which was really kind of a huge moat for Tesla, and the fact they've agreed to opening it up to competition actually really helps their competition, because that's like one of the best things about owning a Tesla. So I think in the next 2 years, Tesla's going to have to accept that many current Tesla owners their next car might not be a Tesla. It could be a Rivian, it could be a Polestar, it could be a Lucid, it could be a Ford or GM or Volkswagen or Hyundai, you know, so everybody's coming, and I think that Tesla's still ahead by a couple years, but I think it would be very ignorant not to accept that this competition's coming, and there's a lot of great cars coming out, which was ultimately Tesla's goal, and they've succeeded in advancing sustainable transportation. But that goal also means that they're going to have a lot of competitors.
Ross, finally, changing a little bit the subject, following your last tweets, you said inflation is dead. I would like to ask you about this, but with Fed tightening its policy, how do you think it would affect Tesla's valuation?
Well, you know, unfortunately, higher rates hurt all growth stocks' valuation, especially ones with 50 price-earnings ratios like Tesla. So the higher your price-earnings ratio, the more higher rates affects you. And I think the economy is turning out to be stronger than what people thought. Inflation is still dead in my mind. It's coming down to a very reasonable rate. The lagging numbers that we're looking at don't take into effect that housing prices have gone down substantially. So the inflation numbers have this lagging thing that don't really look into what's actually happening, like, for example, in the real estate market. So prices for many goods are going down right now. The only thing that stayed strong is labor, and especially labor on the lower income side, which is actually a great thing for this country and a great thing for people. But within the higher income technology sectors, we're seeing massive amounts of layoffs, and we expect that to continue to trickle down. But this idea that inflation needs to be 2% implies that there has to be some sort of really recessionary environment to get there. And that isn't ideal for stocks, that the Fed really wants to push the economy into a recession. While on the other hand, since the economy is stronger than what people expected at this period of time, a recession seems less likely, even if the Fed goes to 5.25%, for example. I'm having less and less fear of a recession. So I think there's a lot to play out here this year, and I'm not exactly sure how these forces will intersect to ultimately lead to higher markets and lower rates. But right now, it seems like we have a very good economy here in the United States still, and I consider that mostly good news, not bad.
Well, good news in this case, and as you said, Ross, a lot to play out this 2023. Yeah. Thank you so much. As always, a pleasure.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Bueno, muy interesantes los mensajes que nos estaba dejando Ross Gerber, como decía.